Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real, something raw, something true. Life. Life ain't easy. Life will test you. It will push you. It will try to break you down, take your name, and forget your face. But here's the thing. Life doesn't care how many times you get knocked down, it only cares how many times you get back up. How you get up, how you rise, how you respond, and what you carry with you when you do. That's where the power lies. That's where the change begins, and let me tell you, it starts with what's going on up here, in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit. You see, we live in a world today where negativity is cheap. It's easy, it's everywhere. You can scroll your feed and drown in it. You can turn on the news and feel it pouring through your screen. But I'm not here to talk about what the world gives you. I'm here to talk about what you give the world. What you carry into the storm, what kind of light you bring into the dark. And that light, that unstoppable, undeniable, unshakable force that's called positivity. Now don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about fake smiles or pretending everything's fine when it's not. I'm not talking about ignoring your pain or brushing off your struggle. I'm talking about a mindset. I'm talking about a decision, a choice. The decision to see the good when all you've seen is bad. The choice to believe in yourself even when nobody else does. The power to stand tall in the rain and say, I may be wet, I may be cold, but I'm not done. That's positivity, that's strength, that's courage. You see, people think positivity is soft. They think it's naive. They think it's for dreamers. But let me tell you something, it takes courage to stay positive in a negative world. It takes fire to believe in light when all you've known is darkness. It takes grit to wake up every day and say, today, I'm going to give it my all, no matter what yesterday looked like. You gotta choose it, every day, not just when it's sunny, not just when the paycheck comes through. Not just when the relationship's good or the grades are right or the applause is loud. I'm talking about when it's quiet, when no one's watching, when you're broke, tired, heartbroken, and feel like giving up but you don't. When you say, nah, not today, I'm getting up, I'm moving forward, I'm staying in the fight. That's real positivity. That's where power lives. Some of you in here, you've been through things nobody knows about. You've cried in silence. You've doubted yourself. You've looked in the mirror and wondered if you're enough. And I want you to hear me now. You are. You are more than enough. You are built for this. You have survived 100% of your worst days. You are undefeated, and you didn't come this far just to come this far. I'm talking to the ones who keep showing up, the ones who love even after heartbreak, the ones who trust even after betrayal, the ones who believe even when they've been broken. That's a special kind of strength. That's the power of positivity. It's not a slogan. It's not a t-shirt. It's a lifestyle. It's a mission, because here's the truth: when you walk in positivity, you don't just change your world. You change the world. You become a light in someone else's darkness. You speak life into people who are drowning in doubt. You become a mirror that shows them who they could be, not just who they've been. You start a chain reaction that echoes beyond what you can see. And that's the gift, isn't it? That your pain wasn't wasted. That your scars became stars. That your battles became bridges for someone else to cross. But you only get there if you keep going, if you stay in it. If you hold on to that flicker of light, no matter how small, no matter how faint, and you guard it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Positivity doesn't mean you never feel fear. It means you don't let fear make your decisions. It doesn't mean you never doubt. It means you don't let doubt have the last word. You can cry, you can scream, you can fall, just don't quit. Don't let a temporary feeling rob you of a permanent future. Don't let your current struggle convince you that you're not destined for more. I see it all the time, people living halfway lives, halfway dreams, because they let negativity take root. Somebody told them they weren't enough. Somebody laughed at their dream. Somebody hurt them, abandoned them, overlooked them, and they started to believe the lie. They started to dim their light. They started to play small, to shrink themselves, to stop showing up. But I'm telling you now, you don't have to live like that. You don't have to let what happened to you define what happens through you. You've got power in you, real power. And it starts the moment you say, I'm done being bitter. I'm done being afraid. I'm done being negative. I'm walking in light. I'm walking in truth. I'm walking in power. You gotta speak it before you see it. You gotta believe it before you feel it. You gotta act on it before it makes sense. That's what positivity does. It moves ahead of the evidence. It walks by faith, not by sight. It looks at a mountain and says, move. It walks into the unknown and says, let's go. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't need a guarantee. All it needs is a made-up mind and a heart that refuses to give up. You know what the enemy of positivity is: comparison. Comparison will kill your joy quicker than any failure ever could. Stop looking at what someone else has and start watering your own grass. Start building your own dream. Start celebrating your own small wins. You don't have to be the best, you just have to be you. Fully, authentically, boldly, because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs your light, your story, your truth. Let me tell you something about people who stay positive. They don't ignore reality, they transform it. They don't run from the fire, they walk through it. They use pain as fuel, they use failure as a foundation. They use every setback as a setup for a greater comeback. And when life knocks them down, they smile because they know what's coming. They know the storm doesn't last. They know the sun is always just behind the clouds. And they've made peace with the process. That's who you are. That's what you carry. I don't care what your background is. I don't care where you're from, how much you got in the bank, who your family is, or what mistakes you've made. That's the past. That's done. What matters is what you do now, what you speak now, how you show up now. Because your words have power, your thoughts have power, your energy, your attitude, it shapes the room when you walk in. So ask yourself, what kind of energy am I bringing? What kind of legacy am I leaving? What kind of light am I giving? You weren't born to blend in. You were born to stand out. You weren't born to be average. You were born to shine. So stop playing small. Stop waiting for someone to pick you. Stop letting fear rent space in your mind. Kick it out. Take the keys back. Reclaim your joy. Reclaim your peace. Reclaim your power. The world's gonna throw things at you. Pressure, loss, confusion, delays. But positivity, real positivity says, I see it, but I'm not owned by it. I feel it, but I'm not broken by it. I acknowledge it, but I rise above it. Because rising is in your DNA. Winning is in your blood. You come from a long line of people who survived worse and dreamed bigger. You are the answer to a prayer someone else didn't live to see. You've got purpose written all over you, and purpose doesn't quit. Purpose doesn't run. Purpose doesn't fold under pressure. It may bend, but it doesn't break, and if you stay close to your purpose, if you keep your eyes on the light, if you speak life into your situation, into your family, into your dreams, then no weapon formed against you will prosper. So I want you to get serious. I want you to stop waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There's only this moment, this breath, this chance, this shot, and it belongs to you. You own it. So take it, speak it, live it, because there's a fire inside you that the world didn't give and the world can't take away. There's a light inside you that doesn't dim. When things go wrong, it shines brighter. There's a strength in you that wasn't born in comfort, it was born in struggle, in pain, in nights you thought you wouldn't make it through but did. You made it, and now it's time to take all that power, all that resilience, all that truth, and turn it into fuel. Turn it into hope, turn it into action, and when you walk into rooms, let them feel your light. When you speak, let your words heal. When you move, let it be with purpose. Not because you're trying to impress anyone. Not because you're chasing approval, but because you know who you are and what you carry. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not lost, you are learning. You are not behind, you are being built. And every moment of doubt, every season of waiting, every tear you cried, it's all working together for something greater, something powerful, something you haven't even imagined yet. So walk tall, speak life, shine bright, and don't ever, ever forget the power of positivity is already in you. All you got to do is turn it on. Positivity is not something that just happens to you. It's not a lucky breeze that blows through your life when the skies are clear and everything's going your way. It's not a passive emotion that shows up when life decides to be kind. Positivity is a decision. It's a powerful, intentional act of defiance in the face of hardship, in the face of chaos, in the face of the voices that try to tell you that you're not enough, that you can't win, that the darkness is stronger than your light. You see, everybody wants to be positive when the money's flowing, when the love feels good, when the path is smooth, when people clap for you. That's easy. That takes no effort. But what happens when the applause dies down? What happens when the job falls through, when the phone doesn't ring, when you're sitting alone with nothing but your thoughts? That's where the real test begins. That's where the truth comes out. And the truth is this: if your positivity depends on your circumstances, then your life will always be out of your control. You'll be tossed around by every wave, shaken by every storm. But if you can train your mind, train your spirit, train your heart to hold on to the good, even when everything around you looks bad now, that's power. Most people never get that far because they think positivity is a feeling. They wait for it to arrive like a package at the door. But let me tell you something: if you wait for positivity to show up on its own, you'll be waiting forever. You have to create it. You have to cultivate it. You have to build it like a muscle. And how do you build muscle? Through resistance, through stress, through pressure. So when life throws pressure at you, when life hands you resistance, that's not the end, that's the beginning of your strength. That's where positivity gets forged, not in the sunshine, but in the fire. And you gotta wake up and choose it every single day, before you check your phone, before you step out your door. Before the world has a chance to shape your mood, you gotta shape it yourself. You gotta speak life to yourself. You gotta remind yourself who you are, where you've been, and why you're still here. You gotta say, today I'm choosing to focus on the good. I'm choosing to look for the lesson. I'm choosing to be kind even when I feel frustrated. I'm choosing to believe there's a purpose for my pain. That's not weak. That's not soft. That's warrior mentality. That's leadership. That's power. You know what makes positivity so hard for some people? They think it means you have to ignore reality. But positivity isn't blindness, it's vision. It's not ignoring what's wrong, it's choosing to see what's right alongside what's wrong. It's seeing the broken pieces and still believing they can be put back together. It's seeing the loss, the pain, the disappointment, and still choosing to have hope. Not because it's easy, not because it's automatic, but because your soul refuses to surrender to negativity, because you know your mind is the battlefield and you intend to win the war. We've been conditioned to think that positivity is for the privileged, for the ones who have it good. But the truth is, some of the most powerful, radiant, light-filled people on this planet are the ones who've been through hell and decided to shine anyway, decided to love anyway, decided to serve, to lift others, to smile through their tears, to lead with compassion. That's not fake, that's fearless. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. They understand that life doesn't always give you what you want, but life will give you what you believe. Life will reflect back to you what you speak over it. So when you wake up and say, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'll never get through this, you're planting seeds and those seeds grow. But when you shift that and say, this is hard, but I'm stronger, this hurts, but I'm healing, this storm is loud, but my purpose is louder, you're planting a different kind of seed. You're setting a new tone. You're writing a different story. And that story starts to shape your actions, your decisions, your energy, and the way people respond to you. People feel your energy before they hear your words. They can sense whether you believe in yourself, whether you're grounded, whether you've made peace with your process. And when you walk in that kind of quiet confidence, rooted in positivity, people take notice. Opportunities take notice, life responds, but it doesn't come without discipline. You have to guard your mind like a treasure. You have to be careful what you let in, because the world will try to feed you fear, comparison, doubt, shame, and all kinds of noise. And if you're not strong in your spirit, That noise becomes your narrative. That's why it matters what you read, what you listen to, who you surround yourself with, what you rehearse in your mind when no one else is around. Are you feeding your faith or feeding your fear? Are you repeating the lies or writing new truth? This isn't about pretending everything's okay. This isn't about toxic positivity or burying your emotions. This is about honoring your struggle and still choosing hope. It's about giving yourself permission to grieve, to feel, to process, and then choosing not to stay there. Choosing to move forward. Choosing to find meaning in the mess. Choosing to turn your pain into purpose. That's not delusion, that's evolution. Because every time you choose positivity, you're creating momentum. You're building emotional muscle. You're reinforcing belief systems that tell your brain, I can do hard things. I can handle this. I can find good in this. And over time, your baseline changes. You don't just survive storms, you start to dance in the rain. You don't just make it through the week, you own it. You walk into every challenge with the knowledge that you've been through worse and came out better. You've seen the bottom and decided it wasn't where you were gonna stay. That kind of power doesn't come from hoping. It comes from choosing. It comes from deciding that no matter what this life throws at you, you're not gonna shrink. You're not gonna break. You're not gonna give up the one thing you can always control: your response. Your spirit, your energy, that's the real battlefield. That's where the winners are made. And the ones who win in the mind, they win in life. So you gotta start with one moment, one breath, one choice. Maybe you don't feel strong today, but you choose to get up anyway. Maybe you don't feel hopeful, but you choose to speak life anyway. Maybe you don't see the way forward, but you choose to take the next step anyway. That's the formula. That's how progress is built. That's how light breaks through the darkness, and the more you choose it, the more it becomes who you are. It's not something you do, it's something you become. You walk different, talk different, love different, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Because you stopped waiting for positivity to arrive and decided to be the source of it. Because you realized the power was never outside of you, it was always within. There's a light in you whether you see it or not, whether you feel it or not. It's there. Maybe it's dimmed. Maybe it's buried under pain, under doubt, under the weight of everything life has thrown at you. But it's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. And the moment you recognize that light, the moment you choose to honor it, nurture it, protect it, that's the moment everything starts to change. Not just for you, but for the people around you. Because your light was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to shine. And when it shines, it doesn't just light up your path, it becomes a guide for others. See, we live in a world where too many people are walking in the dark. They're walking through pain, heartbreak, depression, confusion, and they don't know which way to go. They don't see a way forward. They've been told their light doesn't matter, that their voice isn't important, that their presence doesn't make a difference. But when someone steps into that space with confidence, with purpose, with light that shifts something, that awakens something, that speaks to a part of people that's been asleep, and that light, that could be you. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be famous or rich or perfect. All you have to do is be real, be present, be honest. When you show up with love in your heart, with grace in your words, with hope in your eyes, people feel that. They may not know what it is at first, but they feel it. It's different, it's rare, it's healing, because in a world full of noise, someone who brings calm is powerful. In a world full of fear, someone who brings peace is bold. In a world full of negativity, someone who carries light becomes unforgettable. Your light is your story. It's what you've been through and how you've come through it. It's the strength you found when you thought you had none left. It's the love you kept giving even when it wasn't returned. It's the forgiveness you offered when bitterness would have been easier. It's every scar that didn't stop you, every no that didn't break you. Every tear that didn't drown you. You didn't just survive, you grew. You kept going, and now that light, it's brighter, it's stronger, it's real. You want to know the truth. Somebody out there needs your light. Somebody is praying for strength, for a sign, for something, and your story, your smile, your resilience could be the answer. We always think we need to be in a better place before we can help others. But sometimes your broken pieces are exactly what someone else needs to see. Not because you're perfect, but because you're honest, because you've been there, because you understand. That's where connection lives, in the shared space of struggle, in the quiet place of truth. You ever notice how a single candle can light up a dark room? It doesn't have to yell. It doesn't have to beg for attention. It just exists. It just burns. It just shows up. And in doing so, it makes the darkness back up. It changes the atmosphere. That's you. That's the power you carry. You don't have to force it. You don't have to try to be anything other than who you truly are. Because your authenticity, your light, that's what speaks the loudest. But you gotta protect it, because the world will try to dim it. Life will throw distractions, criticism, rejection, fear, all to make you doubt your worth, your purpose, your light. And if you're not grounded, if you don't stay rooted in your truth, you'll start to believe those lies. You'll start to shrink. You'll start to silence yourself. But deep down, your spirit knows the truth. Your soul knows what it's here to do. And the more you walk in that truth, the more your light begins to glow. Don't underestimate the little things, a kind word, a patient ear, a moment of compassion. You think it's small, but to someone else, it could be everything. That's what light does. It sees people. It lifts people. It reminds them of who they are when they've forgotten. That's a sacred responsibility, and it's one that you were born to carry. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you remember what it feels like to be lost, and you've made the choice to be a light anyway. Some people walk into a room and take energy. Others walk in and give it. Be the giver. Be the one who doesn't just look out for their own gain, but watches for the ones who are hurting in silence. Be the one who sees beyond the surface. Who doesn't judge a person by what they're wearing, what they're driving, what they're posting, but looks deeper. That's where light works best, in the depths, in the shadows, in the places most people overlook. Your light can be your voice, your art, your presence, your consistency. It can be your ability to listen, your willingness to stand by someone when it's inconvenient. It can be the way you laugh, the way you show up on your worst days and still give love. It doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It just has to be real. And here's something else your light transforms you to. The more you share it, the stronger it gets. The more you give it, the more you realize it's not limited. It multiplies, and in the process, you begin to see yourself differently. You begin to walk taller, speak clearer, love deeper. You start to realize that the things you once thought were your weaknesses are actually your greatest sources of strength. The cracks in your life weren't failures, they were places where the light got in, and now where it pours out. You don't need to be perfect to shine. You just need to be willing to be open. Willing to heal, willing to grow, willing to believe that your presence matters, that your energy carries weight, that you have something to offer this world. And once you believe that, everything changes. You start living on purpose. You start looking for ways to lift instead of tear down, to encourage instead of judge, to speak truth instead of echo noise. And what happens next? People take notice, not because you're loud, but because you're aligned. Because your words and your actions match. Because your energy speaks before you even open your mouth. That's influence, that's leadership. That's the kind of power that doesn't need a stage, it creates one wherever it stands. This world doesn't need more people chasing fame, chasing clout, chasing perfection. It needs people who are willing to shine, people who understand that their light was given to them for a reason to heal, to inspire, to connect, to lift. And when you walk in that, when you own that, when you stop dimming your light to make others comfortable and start letting it shine with everything you've got, you don't just change your life. You change every life you touch. There's something you learn when life hits you hard, and it will hit you. It doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until you're ready. It just comes. And when it does, you find out quick whether your positivity is built on solid ground or whether it was just something nice to say on the good days. See, positivity by itself is not enough. Not unless it's rooted in something deeper. Something unshakable. That's where resilience comes in. That's where faith comes in, because those two, resilience and faith, they are the foundation. They're the fuel, and when they walk hand in hand with positivity, that's when you become unstoppable. Resilience is not about never falling. It's about refusing to stay down. It's the grit in your bones that says, this hurts, but I'm still here. It's what makes you get up the fifth time after life has knocked you down four. It's what keeps you going when nobody's clapping, when nobody's watching, when the finish line still feels 100 miles away. Resilience is forged in the fire, not the comfort. It's built in the disappointment, the delays, the doors that close in your face. And every time you choose to stand back up, every time you take another step forward when it'd be easier to quit your building strength you didn't even know you had. But here's the key: resilience doesn't work alone. You need something to believe in, you need something to hold on to. That's where faith walks in. Faith says, even though I can't see the way, I believe there is one. Faith says, even though this moment hurts, it's not the end of my story. Faith says there's something bigger than me, and that something is guiding me, shaping me, preparing me. You don't need to have it all figured out to have faith. You just need to trust that there's purpose in the process, even if you don't understand it yet. And when you combine that with positivity, that's where the transformation happens. That's when your words shift. That's when your posture changes. That's when your energy rises. You're not just being blindly optimistic. You're not just saying everything's fine. You're saying, even though everything's not fine, I'm still believing in better. I'm still holding on. I'm still moving forward. That kind of positivity. That's power, that's maturity, that's depth. Too many people want the light without going through the dark. They want peace without pressure, but growth doesn't happen like that. Faith is born in the unknown. Resilience is born in the struggle, and positivity, real, tested, mature positivity, is the fruit of those two things working together. When your back's against the wall and all you've got is your belief and your bounce back, that's when your character is revealed. That's when your light gets real. It's easy to smile when everything is going right. But when you can smile through your tears, when you can speak hope through your pain, when you can lift others even when you're barely holding yourself up, that's divine. That's not fake, that's faithful. That's not weak, that's warrior strength. And it's in you. It always has been. You see, resilience is the muscle, and faith is the reason you keep lifting. Faith reminds you why you started. It reminds you that what you're going through is temporary, but what you're growing through is permanent. It reminds you that the storm didn't come to destroy you, it came to reveal you. To introduce you to the version of yourself you never would have met if everything had stayed easy. Sometimes you don't know how strong your faith is until it's all you've got, until the job is gone, the door is shut, the diagnosis comes in, the friend walks away, and there you are still standing, not because it doesn't hurt, not because you don't have questions, but because something inside you says, this is not the end. This is the middle, and I was built for this. And with every day you keep going, every moment you choose to believe, that positivity gets more powerful. It's not surface anymore. It's not dependent on outside validation. It becomes who you are. You become the kind of person who can walk into chaos and carry peace, who can face uncertainty and carry confidence, who can get knocked down and rise up stronger, wiser, clearer. And let's be honest, that kind of person doesn't show up overnight. You build that, you earn that, through every trial you've survived, through every fear you've faced, through every doubt you've silenced. You don't just wake up resilient, you become it. And faith walks with you every step of the way, whispering, keep going. It's working, even when it doesn't look like it. You're growing, even when it doesn't feel like it. You're being shaped into something greater. There will be days where you don't feel positive, days where your energy is low and the weight feels heavy. That's when resilience speaks louder. That's when faith steps up and says, rest if you need to, but don't you quit. That's when you learn that positivity isn't about pretending. It's about choosing to speak life when you feel dead inside, choosing to believe in the light even when it's buried behind clouds, choosing to find one good thing in the mess and holding on to it like your life depends on it. Because sometimes it does. Sometimes your survival depends on your ability to hold on to hope, even when hope feels distant. And in those moments, when your back is against the wall and everything in you wants to give up, you remember, you've been here before. You've made it through worse. You didn't come this far to fold. You came to fight. You came to rise. You came to shine, and not just for you, for the people watching you. For the ones who need to see someone make it through what they're going through. For the ones who haven't found their strength yet. When you walk with resilience, when you speak with faith, when you live with positivity, you give permission for others to do the same. You don't just change your life. You start changing the atmosphere around you. That's leadership, that's impact, that's legacy. This world needs more people like that. People who've been through the fire and still carry light. People who've been knocked down but still speak life. People who carry faith in one hand, resilience in the other, and walk into every battle with positivity in their heart. That's not fantasy, that's possible. That's you when you choose it, and yes, it is a choice. Every day, every moment to say, I may not control what happens to me, but I do control how I respond. I do control what I carry in my heart. I do control whether I let this break me or build me. And when you respond with resilience, when you believe with faith, when you speak with positivity, that's when life starts to change. Not just the circumstances, but you. You become stronger. You become wiser. You become someone who can handle anything not because life got easier, but because you got better. There's a moment in everyone's life where the noise gets too loud, where the world tells you who to be, what to want, how to act, and why you don't measure up. And if you're not careful, if you're not grounded, you start believing it. You start chasing their version of success. You start living for their approval. You start wearing masks just to be accepted. But deep down, something feels off, something feels missing. That's because real purpose, true identity, and lasting power don't come from out there. They come from within, from a place deeper than likes, deeper than validation, deeper than image. It's a place that doesn't need to be seen to be known, and once you tap into it, once you recognize what you carry on the inside, the game changes. You can spend your whole life trying to become what others want you to be and still feel empty. You can achieve everything they told you was worth chasing, the job, the title, the status, and still look in the mirror and not know who you are, because none of that defines you. Purpose isn't found in popularity. Identity isn't found in possessions. Power isn't found in performance. You can fake it for a while, sure. But when the lights are off, when no one's around, when it's just you and your thoughts, what's left? That's the real you, and that's where the work begins, because what's within you is greater than anything this world could offer. You were born with something unique, something powerful, something necessary. But the world doesn't hand you permission to live in that. You have to claim it. You have to decide it's real. You have to look at all the lies that were spoken over you, the doubt, the shame, the rejection, and say, that's not who I am. You have to unlearn the noise and reconnect with your truth. The truth that your worth isn't negotiable. Your voice isn't small. Your existence isn't random. You were made on purpose with purpose. Not to blend in. Not to play small, but to walk boldly in what was placed inside you. And that takes courage, that takes honesty, that takes a willingness to strip away everything that's not real and stand in what is. Your power is not in your image, it's in your authenticity. The more you become you, the more powerful you become, because people are starving for real. And when they see someone fully alive, fully grounded, fully aligned, it wakes something up in them too. But this isn't about ego. This isn't about being better than anyone. This is about understanding that your life has weight, that your voice carries, that your choices matter. And when you start living from that place, from the inside out, you stop being moved by every opinion, every comparison, every setback. You develop something solid, and that's what the world can't take from you. Too many people look outside themselves for purpose. They wait for a sign, a person, a platform. But purpose doesn't come from your environment, it comes from your essence. It's already in you. It's the thing that won't let you quit. The thing that makes your heart beat faster. The thing that lights your soul on fire, even if nobody else understands it. That's your lane. That's your mission. And once you find that, once you say yes to it, you stop wasting energy trying to fit into spaces you were never designed for. An identity, It's not about labels. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are when everything else is stripped away, when no one's clapping, when the role disappears, when the applause fades. Who are you then? That's your foundation, and it has to be built strong, because life will test you. People will try to define you. Pain will try to reshape you. But if you know who you are truly, deeply, nothing can move you. You become anchored, rooted, unshakable, and real power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself, from knowing how to navigate your emotions, from learning how to breathe in chaos, from having discipline when nobody's watching, from choosing integrity when it's inconvenient. That's power. Power is presence. It's walking into a room and not needing to dominate because your energy speaks for itself. It's carrying peace, clarity, and confidence in a world that's constantly shifting. It's knowing your worth and refusing to negotiate it. And here's the secret: the world starts to respond differently when you change. When you show up rooted, the right people are drawn to you. The right doors start to open, not because you're chasing them, but because you're ready for them. You've done the internal work. You've faced your fears. You've stopped performing and started being. That kind of alignment attracts the life you were meant to live. But it takes effort. It takes stillness. It takes turning down the volume of the outside world so you can hear your own voice again. That voice inside that says, you were made for more. You have what it takes. You don't need to prove anything, you just need to remember who you are. And every time you choose to listen to that voice instead of the fear, instead of the doubt, instead of the critics, you grow. You heal, you rise. You don't find your identity in a crowd. You find it in the quiet. You find it when you sit with yourself, ask the hard questions, and stop running from the parts of you that are still under construction. Because those parts, that's where the gold is. That's where the growth is. That's where your future begins. This life will always try to pull you away from yourself. It will tell you to be louder, faster, busier. But your true power is in your ability to slow down, to look within, to ask yourself, what do I value? What do I believe? What am I here to create? And then live that out boldly, no matter what it costs. Because once you align your purpose with your actions, your identity with your choices, your power with your presence, you become unstoppable. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for validation. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces you were never meant to occupy. You start creating your own space. You start building your own lane. You start becoming the kind of person who doesn't just move through life but leads it. And the best part, it inspires others to do the same. When you walk in your truth, you give other people permission to walk in theirs. When you speak from a place of purpose, people listen not because you're trying to impress, but because you're being real. And that realness is rare. That authenticity is magnetic. That light from within, it's undeniable. So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop dimming. Everything you need is already in you. Your purpose, your identity. Your power, it's not out there. It's never been out there. It's been inside you all along, just waiting for you to believe it.